Hello, my friends. This is Deepak Chopra. How are you? I hope you're well and not panicking about the global panic around coronavirus. I was supposed to travel to London today, but because of travel warnings and many other people's concern, decided to cancel the trip, and therefore I'm back in New York. So since the coronavirus is creating worldwide news and also worldwide panic with crashing stock markets, loss of confidence in the economy, loss of confidence in world leadership, and people generally feeling totally unsafe, I think it may be appropriate to put things in context at the moment. The virus is coronavirus, is definitely a possible worldwide epidemic that could result in a lot of morbidity and mortality. So it's important to be aware that this is a real threat to humanity. But it's also good to put things in context. We've had epidemics, pandemics before, and ultimately everything resolves. Of course, there's a lot of collateral damage in between. So while the world is preparing, the scientific world is preparing, hopefully, to come up with a vaccine and also to look at the way the virus mutates. It could stay as is, it could mutate to a more virulent virus, it could mutate to a less virulent virus, it could have a life cycle that spontaneously runs itself out. There are many factors, and one thing is for sure, that the panic is creating a lot of damage as well. Economic damage and just stress, and stress has its own biology. So if you get stressed about the virus, it's not going to help you. And if you get stressed about being stressed, it's not going to help you as well. And while the virus is the cause of the illness, it is also a precipitating factor in susceptible hosts. So what can we do to minimize at this moment our risk of morbidity and mortality? And common sense says that we should make best use of lifestyle strategies to optimize the well-being of our body so we are not so susceptible. And these things include restful sleep. Please take time to get good restful sleep between 7 to 8 hours. Meditation and stress management to reduce the amount of inflammation in your body, and also reduce stress. Simple. The more you practice self-awareness and mindfulness and mindful awareness, and also just transcendence through mantra practice, the more your body goes into what we call homeostasis and self-regulation. Exercise and movement remain important, but if you can practice deep breathing and yoga asanas and just focus on activating your parasympathetic nervous system instead of your sympathetic nervous system through deep relaxation, that vagal activation itself is a healing response in the body. Homeostasis, self-regulation, cutting down inflammation, activating genes that decrease inflammation and enhance self-regulation is all possible through lifestyle. And yoga, meditation, deep breathing, movement are equally important. The fourth thing is focus on healthy emotions instead of panic. So the more we can focus on supporting each other with love, compassion, joy, empathy, and just deep listening to each other and being positive in our caring for each other, giving each other attention, affection, and appreciation, and also looking at the situation with sobriety and not panic. Healthy emotions, some connection with nature, healthy nutrition, and also, if possible, take supplements that in fact are anti-inflammatory. There's a lot of evidence that turmeric concentrates, aloe vera, there are herbs that are called adaptogens like shatavari and ashwagandha. So if you feel like taking supplements that enhance the immunity or adaptogens and decrease inflammation, do so. You're not going to lose anything. And finally, I think it's a interesting observation that microorganisms, viruses, bacteria don't respect national boundaries, and that should tell you something. All boundaries are artificial. So it doesn't matter. Quarantine is a good idea, but ultimately there are no boundaries. And boundaries are all artificial. So quarantine is good. It's a temporary measure. But how long can you quarantine people? And the incubation period of this virus can be as long as 1 month, which means no symptoms for a month, which means, you don't even quarantine for a month, may or may not be effective. So what should we do? Well, we should hope that governments and research institutions will come together, that leaders will come together. Leaders have been all over the world interested only in power mongering, influence peddling, cronyism, corruption, and personal importance and greed. So let it all dissipate. Let the world leaders come together, because we have a challenge we're all facing together. This is time to reflect on our interdependence and our interconnectedness. Our economies are interconnected, our health is interconnected, our well-being is interconnected. And so once we recognize our total interconnectedness, interdependence, this incident of a worldwide pandemic that doesn't respect artificial boundaries be a lesson to all of us, and so we can all on our collective well-being. Our collective economic well-being is dependent on our collective health as well. It's obvious. And our collective anxiety and our collective panic and our collective stress is not going to help. So let's stay healthy. Let's follow simple principles. How can we enhance the ecosystem of our bodies through sleep, stress management, movement, nutrition, supplements, taking simple things like ginger, turmeric, aloe vera, adaptogens, and at the same time respecting the scientific effort worldwide to contain this, to minimize the damage. Somebody saying, Muriel is saying high doses of vitamin C. Go ahead, take anything that you think works. Because if you think it works, you have a 30% chance of creating the placebo response, which is pretty good, okay? So we know right now that there is reason for caution, minimize travel, especially in contained spaces like airplanes and cruise liners, or even minimize travel in confined places of any kind. Try avoiding rubbing your nose, your eyes, your mouth, and make sure you wash your hands. Instead of shaking hands, you can rub elbows and be positive and see this adversity as a time of reflection and a time to come together to help each other and also to be there for each other. Some people are saying the incubation period is not a month, it's 24 days, whatever, it doesn't matter. A lot of places in the world right now don't even have the facilities to detect the virus. You need antibody detection, and there are places in the world where there are other epidemics which are equally rampant, tuberculosis, malaria, AIDS, dengue fever in India, on and on. We're living in a messy world, and the world is messy because we don't respect the ecosystem of existence. Right now there are many conspiracy theories around the coronavirus. I would stay away from them. It's obvious that the virus had its origin probably in a bat or in the bat community. And of course, it's very important right now also for those people, especially in different parts of the world, where animals are treated indiscriminately, where wild animals are even eaten, where there's no respect for the ecosystem, not because of any maliciousness, but just because of our collective ignorance. We look for reductionist solutions, and even a vaccine ultimately will be a good reductionist solution, but these epidemics tend to come back. Some of them have a natural cycle. They're basically a resetting of the ecosystem, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but we humans are so self-centered that we think only about ourselves instead of the web of existence, and the web of existence includes all living beings. Of course, life depends on predation. Life depends on the food chain, and the ecosystem is essentially a very balanced food chain. We've kind of ruined it because we have become the victorious predators on planet Earth. So watch your diet, and watch your daily rituals of good sleep and stress management and movement. A lot of people are saying if matter is an illusion, then why worry about it? Well, it's a convenient illusion. Your body is a convenient illusion. Matter is a convenient illusion. And so is everything a convenient illusion. We're living in a constructed reality. But the experience of illness is not an illusion. The experience of anything, even when it is an illusion, when you have the experience, it feels real. So while we say birth, death, the biological organism, pain, matter, everything physical is part of our collective projected reality from consciousness, the experience feels real, and if it feels real, it is to be treated as real, knowing fully well that the real you, pure consciousness, cannot be affected by any experience, including the experience that we call pain, or the experience that we call illness. Pain is an experience in consciousness. The body is an experience in consciousness. And now the construct that this virus is the cause is also an experience in consciousness. So all this is experience in consciousness. And as an experience, even as what we call an illusory experience, it needs to be respected. I stub my toe on a nail. The nail is an experience in consciousness. The toe is an experience in consciousness, and the pain is an experience in consciousness. Now, if I shift my awareness from the experience to that in which the experience is happening, then what does happen is I realize that I'm not bound to the experience, and fundamentally, at all levels, I'm free of the experience, no matter what it is. But this is not a time for us to philosophize. It's just a time for us to be sober and for us to minimize anxiety and panic, and also have a respect for life, even the life of wild animals and domesticated animals. Try not to eat them, and if you do eat them, then eat animals that were not created in a factory with all kinds of contaminants. I would say this is an opportunity for all of us to change to a completely healthy lifestyle. And this is my only message today. And take care of yourself, take care of each other, do not panic, and do not worry about what's going to happen. If it happens, whatever happens, we're all in this together, and we must respect life. If we respect life, if we think of life as sacred, if we think of life as divine, then this challenge will only make us stronger. Thank you very much.